What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I was really kind of wanting to mess with an idea, and that idea was something that a budget can compete and actually do halfway decent. So we all know the big four of the meta. You have the Amber Steel Aggro, you have Purple Steel Tempo, Blurple, and obviously Baja Blast, the blue-green deck. So these are the four decks that really are just running the format right now. So you have to be able to compete versus a few of them if you're gonna truly be competitive. And I'm like, okay, if I can come up with a very budget deck that has a good matchup into two of them, I'll be pretty happy. And actually we were able to do that. This deck comes in at about $84, 13 on Inkables, nothing over a 4 cost, so you probably know where that's going. I mean, you already saw the thumbnail, you already saw the title, and you can see the screen in front of you. So Evasive Aggro. Okay, it was one of the first ideas I had. I'm like, okay, there's so many tools here, there's so much good utility here, and with Blurple and blue-green just doing so well right now, I'm like, what if you just run right under them? And in testing, it really was that simple. The deck just did really, really well into anything Sapphire related, which fortunately is, you know, a little over half the meta. So I felt pretty confident bringing this video for you guys. Not saying it's going to be this end-all be-all meta-breaking type deck, but if your locals is full of Sapphire decks, full of Baja Blast, full of Blurple, honestly, yeah, I think it's a really solid option for you and could very well see you success, can get you to where you need to be. If you're full of steel, if there's a lot of purple steel, if there's a lot of amber steel, it might be a little bit harder. Purple steel, you can get really close a lot of the time, but they kind of just edge it out more often than not in the end game. And amber steel is just a faster deck, so it's very difficult to keep up with them. You don't control the board very well at all into that matchup, and they're just a faster deck. So amber steel is very, very difficult. Amethyst steel, purple steel, whatever you want to call it, it's difficult too, but it's not unwinnable. Blurple and blue-green, however, are both pretty favorable matchups, and I liked where we were going with those. So 16 1-drops. The Diablo, Cursed Merfolk, you have the Fred, and the Pegasus. So Pegasus obviously is your evasive threat on 1, and that's pretty important too because it's just another option on turn 3 where you can pair it up with a 2-drop or multiple 1-drops. And it's evasive for your Timothy Q mouse. Fred is in there as just a real nice option that kind of forces them to challenge and just give you the 2 lore or use fire the cannons, strength, things like that on it. When you're packed full of evasives, I'm okay with that because if they're not being able to deal damage to my evasives and they use a card like that on Fred or on Merfolk, where there's other stipulations when they challenge into it, whether they have to discard or I get 2 lore, I'm okay with that because that just protects my evasive characters. And again, I'm 100% okay with that. Diablo in there just as a draw engine card. Into the 2-drops, a lot more utility here. So Gazelle being the first utility, truly. When you play this character, chose a character gains evasive to the start of your next turn, meaning you can play her, give your Merfolk evasive, which means it's going to survive and last another turn. Same thing with Fred if you need to. Otherwise, giving a character evasive to get your Timothy Q mouse the extra lore because he's a 1/4, and when you have a character with evasive in play, he gets +1 lore. Keeping in mind, if you give him evasive, you have a character with evasive in play. It doesn't say other character with evasive, so that does meet the condition, and he will quest for 2. Go Tamago, very, very good for closing out those late games. Your opponent's going to be challenging into you, so a lot of time they'll have characters with 2-3 damage on them, and in that late game, it's like all of a sudden if you play a character from hand that gets you 2 or 3 lore, that's pretty darn important. So Go Tamago, I felt like, was pretty much a mandatory 4 of, and in addition to being evasive, once again. Under the Sea seeing a lot more play. Strength of the Raging Fire is a very good card, so Ursula coming into the deck as a song card. I don't usually play her on 2, but like potentially on 3. So like if you come out with like Merfolk 1, Timothy 2, and then come back with like Pegasus Ursula on 3, that's actually a pretty solid start into certain matchups, so I like to go that route or pair her up with other characters. I don't like to play her on 2. I'd rather play it on 3, 4, something like that, and play her in addition to another character. Then you have your Dumbo Flying Elephant, kind of like Gazelle, but it's a 3 cost, and he is evasive as well. So Gazelle is not evasive. Dumbo is evasive, but once again, when you play it, you can give evasive to a character until the start of your next turn. Just another little pseudo protection for your characters, while also being able to trigger your Timothy because it's an evasive, and you can give another character evasive. White Rose, just another card in there to pluck away and win at the end. You get really close, just having cards that can finish it off for you. Tinkerbell, Genie, 2 more evasives, multi-questers. Can't get taken out by just 2 strength characters. That's actually pretty important. From like Elsa to Genie, they need the Basil, they need the Hypnotic Strength. They need something to be able to one-shot these. Obviously, in addition, Genie being able to get you a draw on play. And then the new green Genie is Inkable, 2-quester, a 2/3 body. I like that stat line for where he's at. And when he's exerted, your other characters get +2 strength. There's been a few times where I actually challenge into my opponent because of this. So you quest with them, get 2 lore, and then challenge into the opponent just to make sure you don't lose. Then you're threatening lethal. You have a whole bunch of evasives, and your opponent just can't do anything about it. So I was actually pretty happy with that. He put in a lot of work and really cannot complain. Then kind of a high non-character count, but everything is pretty needed. Again, so many times you can get really close, especially in like the purple steel matchup, that it's like I just need a card to get me a lore. And whether that's Go-Go Tamago, White Rose, or Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom, there's just so many cards that are at our disposal to just gain 1 or 2, potentially more lore, just like that your opponent cannot account for. That, okay, I can quest to 16, and then I just need to finish it off, and all of a sudden they're not accounting for what's in your hand, and you can play character or cards that are not your character, and just finish out games. They never come back. This card has been absolutely crazy, slowing your opponent down. If they have answers, especially if they have things like Iago, if they have things like Dumbo, just being able to freeze them where they can't ready at the start of the turn, and also things like Iago, Giant Cobra, the Palace Guard, the Vanish characters, they never come back, targets them, so they go away, and you also get to draw a card. You're welcome. Just another out card. A lot of time you don't end up singing it. You just play it like on 5 with another character, or on 6, and it's you give your opponent a card or 2 cards, but usually to preserve your board state, it works out really well. Mother Knows Best would be a potential option too, but shuffling into the deck's actually kind of important. And again, just they're 2 draws. Usually you're fast enough that the 2 draws isn't going to matter. I did play You're Welcome on Blurple once, where I made him draw into Hades, Into the Unknown. That hurt a lot because he was able to sing Into the Unknown and play Hades out 2 of my cards, and it's like, well, you're welcome. And then I played an Ursula just to see what their 3rd card was, because they had no hand. Gave them the 2 cards. They had another Hades in hand. I did go on to win that game 20-19 though still, so worked out in my favor. Matches versus Blurple, I was 6-0. Blue green, I played 3 and beat 3. Purple steel though, I was 1-4 against. Only 2 of those 4 was I blown out. 2 of them were really, really close. So like I said, that matchup's unfavorable, but can be close. Amber Steel, I was 0-4 versus, and honestly, I never felt like I was in any of them. Unfortunately, that matchup's just really difficult. They're a faster deck, and they're better at controlling the board. So just kind of take an L in that matchup. If you have a lot of Amber Steel, I would not personally advocate for this deck. But if you have a matchup into two of the top 4 decks, that's pretty good. And if we're going to be honest, if any deck out there that's not seeing play has good matchups into 3 of the top 4 decks, it'd probably be seeing more play because someone would have figured it out by now. Lastly, 4 items. Emerald Chromacon really can be a problem for your opponent, just slowing them down. I found a lot of players don't know how to play around this card very well, and that's just like questing before you challenge with another character, or being careful with how you want to do it. And it's, keep in mind, it's banished. It's not banished via challenge. So like moving damage from like Bell will trigger it too. But things like Into the Unknown and Hades, where it puts it into your Inkwell, or things like Your Welcome, where it shuffles it, or Mother Knows Best, where it bounces it to your hand, things like that do not, they do not trigger it. So that's ways to get around it. And then lastly, the Magic Feather, also another card to give your characters evasive, and that's as long as it's on board. So like it's not a go-to play, but like if you go Merfolk 1, Feather on 2, targeting your Merfolk, now your Merfolk's evasive. If they're not playing something that can deal with that, that Merfolk is going to run away with the game on your opponent, and it can just be a really, really strong start. So how do you want to potentially play the game, right? Like what is the mulliganing strategy? And I don't typically like to do this because it's going to be different all the time, but let's say we're going against the Sapphire deck. So blue steel, or not blue, I mean blue steel is a Sapphire deck, but Blurple or green blue. If this is my opening hand, I got the Merfolk on 1. There's a decent chance they come out with a character on 1 though, so it's not always the greatest. If I'm going first, I really like the Merfolk. Going second, Pegasus is solid. Either way, I'm going to hold on to both of them. Then I'm not going to keep your welcomes at all. White Rose, also a late game card. I do have the 1 uninkable already, but the card count in the deck is low enough. I'll keep Genie, and I'm even going to keep the Tinkerbell. Ideally, we can hit another 1-drop or a Timothy here, and then 1 or 2 inkable cards, and then we'll actually be pretty set if we need to. So we do hit the 1-drop. So now we can go ahead, and if I'm going first, obviously if you're going second, you're going to get another card, so it's going to change it a little bit. I do apologize for how the screen's cropped, just saw that, by the way, and without adjusting all my OBS settings and messing everything up, because I don't have a little slide prepared for that. Can't fix it, but we got that Merfolk over on the side. So I would ink the White Rose in a heartbeat, play the Merfolk. Next turn, depending what I draw for turn, I would ink the Genie unless I draw something that's just better suited for ink. Come back with Pegasus plus another Merfolk, and then you have like Tinkerbell, Genie, and you just go wide on your opponent and go under them if they're on Blurple or blue-green. So here we got Go-Go's not really going to be good in the early game. Gathering Knowledge, again, that's kind of a closing card. I don't want to see them early, especially because they're uninkable. I'm going to keep the Merfolk here. We also have Diablo plus Fred, so that means we have our first 2 turns guaranteed, because you go like Merfolk 1, then come back with Fred plus Diablo on 2. Going to keep the Genie because it's an inkable card too. So coming out with White Rose and then Dumbo. So here, again, I'm going to ink the White Rose the first turn. I'll ink White Rose. Timothy being the card over on the side, just so everyone can see that. The ink the White Rose, and then I'm going to play the Merfolk. Then after that, I guess if I'm going second, depending if they play a character, if they play a character, I'm going to ink the White Rose, play the Fred. If they don't play a character, I'll go with the Merfolk. And then after that, turn 2, there's the, do you come back with double 1-drop, or do you come back with Timothy plus? And I do have the evasive Dumbo for turn 3, but I'd actually probably come back with the double 1-drop, especially if they don't put 2 characters down. If they have like no character into Azurite C and no character, or they go like 1 character into Azurite C or no character into T-Pole, and they only have 1 character on board, I'm going to go double 1-drop and have those 3 1-drops threatening them in that regard. Otherwise, say you have the Dumbo for the evasive already, but it's a 1-quester, so that's kind of not the greatest. But even going like Merfolk 1, Timothy 2, Dumbo 3, give the Merfolk evasive, so that means it's going to survive another turn. Now all of a sudden you're getting a second round of questing out of your Merfolk. Timothy's going to quest for 2 because of the Dumbo. That's another solid play line you can go for there. And then on turn 3 or on turn 4, you can pair up Diablo or Fred with another character pretty easily. So we'll do one more here. And so we don't have any 1-drops, so that hurts a lot. We don't even have a turn 3 evasive outside of like Go-Go, which isn't going to be great. Gazelle, though, you can play her, give your evasive to Timothy, depending where we're at. Again, assuming this is against Blurple or blue-green, it's really difficult to give mulligan advice for like Amber Steel, because you're going to lose that matchup a lot. And then versus Purple Steel, I go heavy into the evasives because they only have so many answers for your evasives. So I go heavy into the evasives and just try to outrun them is the game plan for the most part there. Do you keep the genie here? I don't think you do, because we really need to get to 1-drops. We are playing 16 though, so even going 4 should be able to hit one. I am going to keep the gazelle, so if you go Timothy on 2, gazelle on 3, give Timothy evasive. At least it gives us a pivot option if needed. So we go ahead, do that. We hit 3 1-drops now, so that's pretty good. And as far as evasives on 3 though, we still don't have one yet. So I'm going to ink genie on 1. Go Diablo just in case they have a way to answer it. I mean, those 2 decks won't, but like fire the cannons in a steel deck maybe gives you that little option there. Or you can beta fire the cannons with a Fred on 1. But ink genie, play your Diablo or your Fred. Then turn 2, come back with Timothy Mouse. You can ink one of those that you didn't use, your other 1-drop. So if you ink genie, play Diablo, then ink Fred, play your Timothy. And then the turn 3, you can play like Gazelle plus Diablo. Gazelle giving your Timothy the evasive, so it can quest for 2. Still having the 1 Diablo on board, and you just double up your characters that way and get the evasive via your Gazelle. And then, like I said, doubling up characters in turns is always going to be pretty strong. So that's just some, I guess, kind of basic mulliganing. It's really, really difficult though to give great mulliganing advice, because it's going to change matchup to matchup, on the draw, on the play, and depending what your hand is really going to be one thing. And 2, like once you start to see what your opponent plays, games 2 and 3, if they're playing certain tech cards, that also is going to change the mulliganing strategy. So for that reason, it's kind of difficult to go over it, but hopefully this helped a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. We're almost at 6,000 subscribers. We're doing our giveaway for that. Also, lots of other big news. I say I can't wait to share, but it's going to be like over a month from now when I get to reveal it all. But super excited for where everything's going to go with the channel. Lots of big things by the end of the year, and I'm really, really excited for it. So persistence, hard work pays off. Anyone who's heard me complaining in the past about certain things, we might finally be getting our answer to that. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.